Hello everyone, how's it going? In today's video, I'm going to show you the entire process of how to program a key, how to get another key to your car. And as you can see in this first video, I have this old, dainty looking key, and this was the only key I had when I bought this car. And as you can see in an older video, it was actually destroyed and I had it wrapped around with some duct tape. It was terrible. And I'm going to show you how I went from this broken key into this. You can see that I have 3 keys, 2 original looking keys, and the third key is actually like upgrade, where it's actually has the newer key style. I've said, as you can see, is a flip blade key, and it works for my car. And I'm going to show you the entire process from getting the keys, getting it cut, to having it programmed. Alright, the process I'm about to go over is going to be applicable from all BMW keys from 1995 to 2005 that share those key blades that you're looking at in the picture. Now, the one on the left is the older variant, and the one on the right is a newer variant. Now, your key doesn't have to have the same diamond looking shape, but as long as your blade is the same as those in the picture, like I said, from 1995 to 2005, is going to be compatible with your key. This whole programming procedure, the key you're going to have to buy, and in 2006 models, so it actually applies to some 2005. So if you have a 2005 or 2006 BMW with this type of key, you need to contact your dealer and make sure what type of key system do you have, because this tutorial is going to be for EWS systems. And if you have the 2005-2006 key with the newer version, is going to be CAS, and the programming procedure is going to be very different, although it is a lot easier with your type of keys because you're able to have your key programmed from the OBD2 port. So as mentioned, this is applicable to all EWS keys, whether you have the diamond shape or not. And let's go ahead and get to the key selection. All of the keys that I'm buying and all of the keys that I have programmed in my car are from eBay, and they're aftermarket keys. They're not original, and it's actually kind of hard to find an original brand new key with the original chip never used online. Now, you're able to buy them directly from a dealer from like $190 to like $250, but this is the best alternate. And as you can tell right here in the listing, there's 2 keys available, and you just want to make sure that you have the right type of blade. So if you have the older style blade that has a little dent in the middle, you have the HU58 type of key. And if you have that newer version, it's the HU92. So when you're looking up your key, and I'll provide links to make it easy for you guys, just make sure that the blade on the listing matches your key, and you should be good to go. Now, more often than not, if you're gonna buy your key from a United States seller, you're more than likely going to get the key without the emblem. Now, this is just for trademark purposes, but you can totally buy an emblem and have it on your key. Now, if you have the same diamond looking key, it's going to be an 11mm key emblem. And as you can tell, there's one right there for sale. There's cheaper ones from China. And in some other cases, you might need a 14mm emblem, but that's not very common. Just go ahead and check with your key. You can measure it with your ruler, and if it's 1.1 centimeters, it's going to be the 11mm emblem. If not, it's going to be the 14mm emblem. But as I said, most of them are 11mm. And I'll go ahead and provide a link below in the description to make it easy for you guys to find it. Okay, and the final thing you're gonna need to buy for your key setup is the programmer. Now, it's gonna be a red AK90 Plus key programmer, and they're about $35 from China. And if you buy one already imported to the US, they're somewhere around $50. This is a very cool programmer that lets you add keys. It even lets you change the mileage on your car. So if you have your dashboard changed or whatever, you can have the mileage adjusted. And this is a great programmer that you're going to have to use. And like I said, this is for EWS keys. I will provide a link to that below in the description as well. And just make sure that the programmer you're buying has a CD, because you want to use that CD to install the software onto your computer in order for the programmer to work. And this is really cool because it's also the same programmer that locksmiths use when they're programming these types of keys. Speaking of locksmiths, you are going to need an automotive locksmith to have your key cut. Now, as you can tell, this key has a little laser style of cutting, and only an automotive locksmith or somebody with a laser key cutting machine is going to be able to do that. Now, you can't get this done at your Walmart, your Ace Hardware, or a Lowe's just by the way that key is supposed to be cut. And it normally costs anywhere from $20 to $40 per key. I wouldn't pay anything more than $40 per key. Alright, that is all the buying you're gonna have to do. So if you don't already have the items in your possession, I would go ahead and buy them. And I guess your first key is gonna be a little expensive because you're gonna have to buy the programmer as well as any tools that you might need. But from then on, every single key that you make is gonna be so cheap compared to buying a new one directly from the dealer for $190. And besides that, you get to program as many keys as you want, and it's a very easy process. I knew nothing about keys, and now I was able to program some for my car, and it really wasn't that hard. In fact, it's easy enough that I'm making this video for you guys to follow along, as it's a pretty easy thing to do. So if you don't already have them purchased, I'll provide links below to make it easy for you guys to get everything that you need. And it's a very simple process. You just gotta take the computer out of the car, you're gonna connect it with the programmer, and you're gonna program it. Now, of course, we're gonna go over this in detail, but as I mentioned previously, if you don't really have the items, go ahead and buy them with the links provided. And we're gonna go ahead and get into the preparation, where we just get into the software a little and get everything ready to get the new keys programmed. Okay, once you have everything ordered, at this point we're going to briefly go over the software that you need to download in order to have this AK90 that you're looking at working properly. After that, we're going to test the AK90, make sure it works. We're going to test your key, your new key, and your old key, make sure everything's good to go. And then from then on, we're going to actually go over the process of removing the EWS and then finally having it programmed. It's a very easy process once you get this started. Okay, we're currently on the computer screen, and this is after you get your AK90 and you're using the CD that came with your programmer to install the software. As you can tell, there's several folders there, and I chose the one that had AK90, of course, because that's the programmer we're using. And we just click on the setup button. Make sure it's the application. It's going to install itself, and it's a very easy process. Now, there's going to be another software you have to download, and I'm going to provide a link to it. And the second software is what allows the computer to communicate with the AK90. So one controls the AK90, and the other one allows the computer to communicate with the AK90 programmer so you can add your keys to your car. Okay, so before you remove the EWS from your car, before you go through any of that, after you have the software installed and is running, you want to place your original key inside the machine, and we're going to see if the machine works. So we have it connected. That's all you need to do is have it connected. And once you're there, go to the menu where it says right here, test key. You're going to click test key, and as you can see, it works just fine. It was able to read my key, and being an original key, you can see that it's a EWS3/EWS4 system, it's key number 3 from 1 to 10, and it even tells you how many kilometers are on the car as well as the VIN number. And out of curiosity, I'm going to remove this key. I'm going to get another key that is not to a vehicle I own. It seems original, and it's one of those light up keys. We're going to place it there. Hit OK. We're going to test this key. And you can see that this is an older EWS2 car, and is actually key number 1. So this was the original key to whatever car this was. And once you verify that it works on your original keys, you want to get your new key, place it inside, and you want to do the same thing. You want to make sure that the old key and the new key works, the machine works. You want to make sure everything works. As you can see, it works just fine. It says it's key number 86 from 1 to 10 because it's obviously not programmed. And if your programmer has not been working, I would double check the software and make sure you have the correct software. And if that doesn't work either, the last resort would be to check this cable. This is the same cable that a printer uses, and you want to check and make sure that the cable isn't bad. From this point of the tutorial, we're going to remove this box right here that is known as the EWS. Now, you're going to have to remove a panel that's under your steering wheel. You're going to find access to your EWS and you're going to remove it. And we're going to go ahead and start with the tutorial. And the panel, the removal with the panel varies on every car, and this one in particular is a BMW Z4. But the process of removing it is overall the same. So let's go ahead and get this part started. You may or may not want to do this, but in my situation, I'm going to go ahead and remove the negative battery terminal to avoid any issues while removing the EWS system. Okay, this part of the tutorial is going to vary depending on the car that you have, and the one I have in particular is a BMW Z4 as mentioned. And mine was very easy. I had to remove 6 screws that were in the way. But I know in some other cars like a 3 Series, you have like you have to remove like the OBD2 section. You have to remove some other stuff, but it's just to take the panel off and have access to remove the EWS box. Now, one thing with my car in particular, and it's going to apply to yours if you have a Z4, this little cover right there, as you can see, where I have it pointed, that part was very hard to take off, and you have to use some force to move the panel out of the gap that it has with that other panel in order for it to come down. That was pretty much the hardest part when it came to taking off the panel. Everything else was easy. I just had to take off those 6 Phillips head screws. Okay, I'm going to try to record with this camera. It gets very dark. But I have the panel off, and now with the panel off, if you look right there, there's the EWS. It's that little box right there, the white box with the green letters. And there's going to be 2 10mm bolts that need to come off. Now this is going to be, to me, the hardest part of this whole process. It's in a very awkward position, and it can get really complicated if you don't have the right tools, but I recommend using a ratchet, a 10mm socket, and an extension to get a good angle at it. You might have to be in an awkward angle to remove the box, but once you have it removed, you're good to go. Okay, I now have the EWS out of the car. As you can tell, these are the 2 10mm bolts that need to come off, and it's going to be attached by a clip, and you're just going to have to press it down and remove it. It's a very simple process once you have the 2 bolts out. Okay, now that you have your EWS out, we're going to go ahead and open it. Now it's very easy to open. There's a clip right here, and it's going to be easier for you because you're going to use both of your hands, but all you're going to do is simply go ahead and pop it out of its place, as I did so right here. And from then on, you're going to pull this computer board out of the box. Now, before you do that, you're going to see that there are some clips sticking out right here. You can barely see it in the camera. It's a very small indentation, but you want to have them pressed in. So when you pull the computer out, these pins will not be holding it in place. Okay, as you can tell, I already have the pins pressed inside, and then you can just push it out. It's a very easy process from here. And there you go, you have your EWS. Now, it looks extremely oily, but it's actually not. It seems like if it was somehow submerged in oil throughout its life. And at this point, you're going to take a look right here, and you want to make sure what type of EWS system you have, because it's very important in the programming procedure to know which type you have in order for the keys to be programmed properly. Now, depending on what type of EWS system you have, you're going to either luck out or you're going to have to buy more stuff. Now, this is a EWS 3, as you can tell right here in the box. And if you have an EWS 2 or an EWS 3, you pretty much luck out unless you happen to have the same type I do, which is right there. It's, let's see if I can get this to focus. And it's that OD46J version. If you happen to have that, it's not the worst, but what's going to happen is that if you're going to want to program one of the already occupied key slots or do any writing on the EWS system, you're going to have to buy an adapter to make it easy to program. Now, if you have the EWS system number 2, you're good to go, as mentioned previously. If you have the EWS 4, you can still program it, but it's a lot more complicated. You have to like get some wires and solder it to your motherboard to get it to work, but there's an adapter for it, and it's about $40, and I highly recommend it. It makes the whole process a lot easier, and you won't need anything else but that. Alright, now this is the adapter for the EWS system that I have. Now, once again, if you happen to have the same EWS system as me, you do not need to buy this to program a new key. But for example, if you have 10 key slots and all of them are used, and you have to edit an existing used key slot to add a new key or any type of writing like that, you will need this adapter. And this adapter will basically just connect with your EWS and the AK90 programmer, and as you can see, that adapter right there gives it 12 volts of power, and it allows it to be written. Again, you don't need this if you are just going to program a key, but if you need to edit it or use an existing slot, you're definitely going to need this. Okay, my system being an EWS 3, I have the EWS 3 section connected, and if you have the EWS 4, just go ahead and connect in the other side too. And now with this part, you're going to have to simply connect this with that box right there. Now you want to make sure that you have it connected in the right position. It's sensitive. Mine doesn't happen to have it, but on many models you're going to see an arrow, and it's going to be telling you on which side is it supposed to connect to. I believe the software also has some pictures to guide you with that process. So I'm going to go ahead and have this connected. Now, more often than not, because the computer has like this coating on it, if you're having trouble trying to get your EWS to read on the programmer, something that you might have to do is get something sharp like a box cutter knife or just a regular knife. You're going to go ahead and actually have to remove some of that coating from the ridges of the chip in order for you to have the metal exposed and give a good connection with the programmer. Alright everyone, now we are ready for the programming process. Of course, you have already tested your new key to make sure it works, and you know that the AK90 works. So we're going to go ahead and click read EWS, make sure the one that you have is selected. And I do have some parts of the video sped up just so it doesn't take so long, but as you can tell right now, it's currently reading the EWS that I have. Okay, we have now reached 100%, and every single time you're going to read your EWS, it's going to ask you to save all of its information onto your computer. And this is pretty good. So I guess in a terrible situation where it just explodes and whatever, you lose all your information, you can recover your EWS with the original information that you saved previously. So you can tell that now that I have that saved, I clicked on EWS Analyze, and I'm just looking to see what slots are taken. Now you can see the first 3 are taken, and since I only had 1 key, it probably meant that the original 2 keys to the car were lost and the person bought a 3rd key. So this is useful to see where can you write your new key. Now you click on write key, and I'm gonna select key number 4, the slot number 4, and make sure you have PCF right there for writing. Now if you have an original key chip, you're gonna select the other one, but most of these aftermarket keys use that PCF chip that you're gonna have to use in that selection to have it programmed. As you can see right there, it was successful. It says write key OK, and as mentioned previously, I guess if you have a used key, you bought a used key with the original chip, you're gonna select that other one, and I'm pretty sure you can rewrite a used key into your car, but I highly recommend the new aftermarket ones. I don't see any problems with them. And at this point you're good to go. Just put everything back into your car, and before you put the panel back, go ahead and have it connected and make sure that the new keys work before you put everything back. But at this point you're pretty much good to go. You can do this as many times as you want until you use all of your 10 slots and have as many keys as you need to have. Okay, so I have a new chip programmed, and I have it in this newer styled key shell, and in the next video I'll be going over the different key upgrades that you can do. There's about 4 or maybe 5 that you can do, and that'll be an interesting video. So if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, as I'll have that video in the making. And I'm gonna currently put this key inside the ignition, and we're gonna see if this works. Of course the blade was cut correctly. The car has finished beeping, and we're gonna go ahead and see if this thing will turn on. As you can tell, it was able to turn my car on this cold day, and you can tell no trickery here. I have the key right there. It works just fine. And at this point, to program the remote of this key in order to have your car lock and unlock with the buttons, it's going to be very easy. And I know I have this newer style key, but it's the same process. You're going to press and hold this top button, and you're going to press this button that has the emblem 3 times. Now before you do that, you put the key in the ignition and you go to position 3, which is right before it turns on, and you do that 5 times, and then you do the button procedure where you press this button, and then while you're holding this one, you press this one 3 times. And after you do that, do it with all the other keys that you have, and that should be all that you need in order to have it working. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It was a pretty long video, but it's really helpful. I spent a lot of time looking at different places to put all the information together. And as mentioned previously, if you haven't already, subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I'll provide a link below if I helped you out. And yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.